Okay, so we've cleaned the gun with our handy dandy old toothbrush with alcohol first. I've gone back and cleaned the gun again with the included alcohol swab, and I'm just kind of waiting on the alcohol to finish drying up before we put this grip on here. Got that little spot right there. So anytime you're putting on stickers, like I said, this is essentially a big boy sticker. I find that cleaning first is probably one of the biggest things you can do to help the adherence, I guess, if that's a word. So I've cleaned my hands also with the alcohol, so they should be very clean. I've cleaned my knife that I'm going to use if I have to pry up any corners. So I think my intent here is, obviously we talked about already that we know we're going to have to tuck here with these pieces. Once they wrap around the gun, we're going to have to tuck here. So I think what I'm going to do is try to line it up: Glock logo, bottom edge logo, mag release, not mag well. Mag release is going to be my theory here, to try to like press from this center line and then start working our way around the grip. Now, one thing Talon does say, they say don't stretch this thing. Just, roll it normally. Don't pull on it at all. There's some die cuts here. I also flexed the grip a little bit to make sure those were already kind of broke up just a little bit. Things like that can sometimes keep a grip keep a sticker from rolling around corners like you want it to. I'm also going to only pull off the backing that I need to pull off at that particular time. So like I'm going to start with this first half, what's the left with the Glock logo on it, and then I'll peel off the back strap essentially part, and then I'll pull off the remainder, and the finger tabs ultimately last, with the intent that I've got something to grab onto, that I'm not touching the sticky. I want to avoid touching the sticky as much as possible, obviously. So, alright, well, I guess there's no time like the present. See how this thing lines up with the Glock logo and centered across the back. So it's not really 100% on the mag or on the mag release rather. The Glock logo should be centered. Okay, so just looking at this, it looks like you're kind of closer to if you're going to center the Glock logo, which I would say the Glock logo and the mag release are my two key I want to line up points. If that's the case, you're going to be right under the mag release more than how it is at the top. So if you've got the Glock logo centered, that's centered as good as I can, crooked, you can kind of reference how much gap you got here at the bottom, and then you can see you're right on the mag release on the bottom, but you're not on the top. So that's an important note, as opposed to if you try to center on the mag release, which I would have said that would be the way they would intend for, would be centered on the mag release after going to the trouble to cut the Glock logo out. You're not really centered, because if you center on the mag release, you can see the Glock logo does not line up. It's on the top of the G. Well, I think the Glock logo ought to be centered. That's me, first and foremost. So if that's the case, and then lined up across the bottom, that would be my other close reference point that I would be worried about. Like I said, bottom of the mag release. All right, well, let's get started. So, I'm trying to peel this off, all backing. I'd rather not touch the actual grip portion any more than I got to. So I'm going to push that down and fold it back on itself so that I'm just revealing what I got to reveal. So I'm not pushing anything down here. I'm just trying to center it on the Glock logo, line it up across the bottom. test. Nope, that's too far forward. That's not perfect. Keep in mind, you don't want to, every time I feel like you push one down, you're probably doing the potential, you know, to lose some adhesive. So essentially I'm just rolling this just a little bit. I guess you may have to go back and pull it back up. Hopefully you're not going to. So that's kind of what we got to start with. I think we're pretty close. I feel pretty good with that. So now on to the back strap. Peel that part off. Fold that back. Roll that over. Main thing on this, I guess, would be centering it, hopefully. Making sure that, you know, you got, you know, you're keeping it square, but you're not pulling on it, you know. So essentially I'm trying to roll consistent across the connecting point, consistent pressure, not pulling it, just consistent pressure, really. Also, I guess you should be looking at the bottom to make sure that you're keeping it square across the bottom. You know, are you pulling it, is it going to be level when you finish? Because that's going to impact your right side of the grip, I guess. So are we level across the back? Yes, we are. So just going to roll that just a little bit for the time being. Looking like a pretty good match at the moment. All right. I just pushed a little bit on the front of the left edge, which is what I said not to do. But anyway, all right, so we're going to pull that. Actually, right now, while I got the opportunity, while it's peeled back real good, I'm just going to go ahead and discard that, throw that to the side, so to make it easy. And now I can pull on the finger tabs. So I guess my next big would be, is it square across the bottom? And then how am I on the mag well? So I'm going to line it up on the bottom. That's a real good one. I know that I can look at. All right, that was good and square. All right, square this up. Oh yeah, this is coming out, I think, pretty good. So, and then I've seen some people when they show the front under the finger grooves where it actually ends up being crooked. That would drive me up the wall. I mean, like, how do you go to all that trouble and then mess up in the 11:30 hour, you know? Okay. All right, so test fit these while we can still see what we got going on. So I'm gonna be wanting to make sure those are square like 100%. So I'm gonna take my knife, peel up this front edge just a wee bit. That, like I said, I accidentally pushed down on. Okay, cool, it's up. So I guess we'll start with this first tab and kind of roll, I guess. Is as good as anything. Yep, okay. Yep, I feel good about that. Middle one. Yep, that looks pretty good. And yep, that looks pretty good. So we're pretty even there. So peel back, roll our top, roll our middle, roll our bottom. All right, so, and then I would work your way, like, you know, kind of just working your way back up to the grip. This is the way I found the best way to keep from getting bubbles and stuff is kind of, you know, work. I guess that's longitudinal, longitudinally. That ain't a word probably, but anyway. All right, so cool, and then we'll kind of rub it down. So you can see now kind of what we're working with. All right, Glock logo is centered as best you can. It does look like the back strap you can see here just a little bit. I guess I got it just a hair crooked. This one's overlapped pretty good. Be interesting to see what these little blocks is are kind of holding up the grip just a hair off the body. It'll be interesting to see if dirt and grime get under those and that ends up being a problem. You can see it ended up being pretty square on this side. Bottom edge is square, mag well is, or a mag release, daggone it, is still pretty square. So that's interesting that the backstrap didn't center up with both of these others centering. But anyway, I guess it's a man-made product. It can only be so perfect. So I'm just kind of going around this, making sure that I've got it pressed down well. One thing about stickers anytime you're working with those is edges are critical too. You know, was it clean before you started, which we had about as good a prep, I think, as you can ask for. And then did you have the edges pressed down? Because that's going to be your infiltration. That's going to be your dirt spot, especially if it's a daily carry, which this is for me. This is an EDC. This is an everyday carry gun for sure. You know, it's going to be exposed, let's be honest. I mean, it's going to have pocket lint on it. It's going to have keys are going to be brushed against it. I mean, I sell heating and air conditioning. It's going to be around dirt. It's going to be around insulation. It's going to be around different things like that. So it's going to have, this isn't going to be, it's going to be dirty from time to time. You know, you're going to grab it with, French fry fingers from takeout, somewhere along the way. Okay, so we've got that pressed down pretty good. The next step per Talon is to heat it up with a hairdryer for a few cycles. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. So we'll come back to that in just a moment. So that was our first round of heat. You can really feel how the grip kind of softened for sure. I'm gonna hold the inside of this mag well because I actually feel like it's flexing in a little bit when I'm pushing down on the grip. Not a bunch, just a little. I don't know that to be the case. Maybe that's perceived more than actual. But the whole goal here is to have a super installation for me. I want this to last for a long time. So you could kind of start to see the grip actually pull up just a little bit on the where it went under the other grip on the finger tab side. Yet once again, like I said, I feel like edges are a big thing. Can you keep the edges down? If you can keep the edges down, the adhesive's gonna stay in place. It's going to keep the major part of it, So, like, when I was heating this, though, you could see this gap coming open just a little bit. But just pressing it down after the heat, it must be like a heat activated adhesive of some sort, because it does seem to, it really seemed to tacky up and kind of lock down a little bit better. So that already feels significantly more locked down, frankly. It even looks like the rubber got, frankly, more defined after I heated it up and pressed it down really tight. So I'm liking that. So that does seem to actually be working. It actually seems to be doing something, not just feel good, is what I'm trying to say. So let's apply some more heat. A couple of rounds of this. I'm just on low, high heat, low speed. Alright, so Talon argues heat this up about coffee cup temperature, 130 degrees. Obviously, I don't, well, not obviously, but I don't have any I don't have a temp gauge to actually measure the surface temperature of it. So you're just having to do your best guess, but that's like their qualifier as a hot cup of coffee. So just heating it up, going around it, systematically heating it up. Okay, yeah, that's warm enough, that's not warm enough yet, to me the warmth, like I said, is probably activating the adhesive. So I'm trying to activate the adhesive, lock it down real good, And they say to do this several times, so I guess I need to do it one more time. A couple is 2, several is 3 to me, so does seem to be gluing down pretty good though. I don't know that the successive tries are honestly locking it down. It seemed pretty well locked down after the first one, but you would think that they had done their test and measure and would know that, hey, 1 round is good, 2 is better, 3 is really good, 4 is diminishing returns. You'd hope somebody's put these grips on enough and knows, hey, we found this to work the best. Frankly, I thought about trimming off the fingertips and making these two mate exactly. I'm assuming Talon has some kind of engineering or thought process or real world where they're like, hey, that doesn't work because of X. That's why we've chosen to do it that way. Because in our experience, we found that doesn't work, or if you do that, that's just in 2 edges instead of being 1 edge that could potentially peel back. Now you've got 2 edges, 2 mating edges. And remember I said, edges are going to be your problem children anyway, and it's funny, they mentioned that in number 5, they say, Pay special attention to pressing outside edges. That's on purpose, people. They know that the edges are their problem children. That's the part that's going to get snagged on your pants or your shirt when you're tucked, if you're going to tuck, you know, or if you're going to go outside. You know, your shirt tail is going to constantly be in contact with the edges, you know, or can be, depending on your carry, you know. All right, I'm going to do one more round of heat, I think. Feeling pretty good so far about this. All right, so we're getting pretty close here. Feeling pretty good about this. So, do you need a Talon grip? I couldn't tell you. This is my first experience. I've actually never really had any difficulty holding on to my gun. We just got my wife a Walther PPS M2 for Christmas. So, really, frankly, she had commented on wanting to try a separate grip. So, excuse me, adding, you know, like, you know, a grip strips or, you know, whatever. So I looked at Talon, I looked at traction grips, were the two that I really looked at. The Hogue stuff I think would be too big for her hand. And frankly, I have medium hands as well. I think I would imagine that it looks too big for my hands as well. That's one reason I liked this gun and one reason I run it no backstrap. It fit my hand. So I ordered one for her gun, and then when I was looking at it, I was like, ooh, moss. And I kind of thought, the vanity part in me was like, ooh, that would look pretty tight. I think I would like to have one of those. So frankly, that's where I kind of did, that's what my deal is with this. I'm not super like, oh my gosh, I have to have extra grip on my Glock 19 because like I couldn't hold on to it beforehand. What's the worst that can happen though? Oh man, my grip is it's just too positive. You know what I mean? That's kind of ridiculous. So anyway, so all right, yeah, this thing I think is pretty well stuck on here. I feel pretty good about this. I might put heat to it one more time just for giggles. But man, pretty good. I feel pretty good about that installation. I mean, the fingers are pretty good. Let's see, there we go. I wouldn't go so far as to say this is a perfect installation by my measure anyway. Real good on this side on the mag release. You can see the back. I've got it centered pretty good, but you can see right here you don't see any blocks. But then on this side, you do see blocks. That's kind of a little, you know, like I said, lower edge of the mag release, a little bit more. Glock logo, tried to be centered as much as possible. I think it actually is off just a hair. I'm kind of a perfectionist, so that's my fault. That's probably my problem more than anybody else's real problem. Certainly not a real world problem, I don't think. Imagined problem, yes. So anyway, But that's it. Let's see what this baby looks like. I always like to cycle a couple of times just to make sure you got it together. You know, did it fire the first time? That's cool. But like, if this is going to be an everyday carry, you can't have a problem after the fact. So, this is a Glock 19 Gen 4 OD green black slide with the Moss Talon Grip. Real happy with how it looks. How does it feel? Added just a little bit of thickness. Not much. Like I said, the grip fit really good to begin with. Yeah, I can tell that's a little thicker. You know, how does that... Interesting. I don't know that I would say that the grip is tacky. It does add some thickness. I don't know if I would say that that's really 100% more positive than what it was. I mean, like I said, I felt the grip from the factory was good, myself, personally. So, it'd be interesting to see. It looks good. I think some thought went into this. You know, somebody actually has tried to make this. They didn't just cut out something and try to make it work. You know what I mean? They've put some thought process into it. These guys, I'm sure, are probably way bigger gun guys than I am, and they probably know the ins and outs. This will probably be better real world than maybe what I give it credit for now, but it looks cool, which frankly, like I said, was kind of my first start. I'm getting the grip for my wife's Walther in a few days, so I really kind of want to do a video on hers as well, because I know Walther information seems to be a little bit more sporadic. You can find a video on a 19 for anything under the sun. Everybody's got this gun, so. All right, well, thanks for viewing. If you liked it, give me a like. You can subscribe to the channel if you would like. All right, thanks, guys and girls.